Now, good morning and welcome to the programme. My name is Damien Tiernan. You are listening to Deise today on Thursday. I think there's only 5 or 6 shopping days left to Christmas. Are you set, folks? Are you set?
Yeah, I've been set for the last 30 years because that's how long I've been married. So my wife has it all done.
Marion, are you set?
No, I'm starting Saturday.
Starting Saturday. I'll be going in on Christmas Eve to start mine. So, Niall, I'll see you in there Christmas Eve.
You will see me. You'll see me Sunday. I'm actually doing the Winterville trip with the family on Sunday. So, really looking forward to it.
So, you'll be really ahead of yourself.
I could be still there Christmas Eve, depending how well Sunday goes.
So, Niall Harrington joins us in studio, and Marion Walsh from the North Quays development. We'll talk about exactly what it is, the development company, and we can talk through that. And Niall is architect, one of the main people involved, the planning and design of all this. So we'll talk about that. Firstly, our text and WhatsApp number 083 3333 975. Text or WhatsApp, please. Or you can call Audrey on 051 846 123. Have you any questions for these prestigious people that I have here in front of me? Not trying to plumb Aussie now at all, folks. Not trying to lull you into false sense of security. Also, Alan Reynolds is coming in, Waterford FC manager. He'll be in around 10:30. Any questions for Rennie? We're going to be talking also, please, about the boiler issues. More women this morning, more mammies and daddies talking about boilers. And we also have an interview with Glynis Casey from Small Talk Childcare down in Abbeyside regarding the insurance hikes for creches, which is worrying a lot of parents, even though Catherine Sapone came out yesterday afternoon and said she's basically going to give money, approximately 1,000, 1,500 per creche. Even though this time yesterday morning, the Taoiseach was saying, no, we're not going to give them any money at all. So do you think this is just complete and utter political expediency? I could use a rude word, but I'm not allowed to curse in studio. Bernadette Ryan's also going to be talking to us, our relationship counsellor. This week's topic, how separated couples can keep the peace over Christmas. We will have more on that. Anybody seen the movie, The Marriage Story, let us know. So, Niall Harrington, good morning, Niall.
Good morning, Damien. How are you?
Good, thank you. Marion Walsh, good morning.
Morning, Damien.
Niall, tell me a little bit about yourself first and about your firm.
Fjord Harrington and Partners, we're 40 years in business, Waterford company. We employ about 24 people, primarily 22 of those are in Waterford, 2 are in our Dublin offices, and then we've outreach offices in Riyadh and Saudi Arabia. We're going to open another one in Azerbaijan and Baku, and then we've associated offices from people that have worked with us around the world. So no place that we won't go to do some work.
Did you open the outreach office in Saudi Arabia before this? Had you an office there before?
We did, yeah. We were in Saudi probably about 11 years at this stage. And the reason we went there was we had a significant workforce in Waterford, and to sustain that workforce, we have a great team there, Tony Power, Ronan Rudd, Kevin Marr, Paul O'Connor, Eamon Power and all the lads, Ian Fior. A lot of technical experience and long-time employees of the company. And to keep these guys going on the bigger projects, we had to go to Saudi to find the work. Ireland wasn't in a great place at the time. Waterford wasn't in great shape. So we went international to find the work, and we're very successful at it, and we're still doing work out there. And that was probably one of the reasons why we were able to understand the Saudis coming to Waterford and assisting them to get to and understand the visualisation of what could be achieved in Waterford and Ireland, and particularly the growth around and the opportunity around the city. And that has to be commended for. That has to be Rob Cass, because part of the Allocare group, in terms of his connection with Waterford, being a Dungarva man, he was able to hammer that nail home with us as well, you know. So it's a great success story for a lot of people that are involved in Waterford. Marion
Walsh, what company do you work for?
So I work for Carn & Welsh. I set up the business 10 years ago. Actually, will be 10 years come January in existence. Basically, we're a project management and quantity surveying firm. We have offices in Dublin, Waterford and London. We do a lot of work on big projects, pharmaceutical projects, biotech and the likes of the North Quays. So this was a great fit for us.
And where are you from yourself?
I'm from Portlaw.
Portlaw, very good.
Very good.
And you living locally? Or?
I am now, yes. We lived away for a long time. I worked abroad for a long time. I moved back when we set up the company, and I actually live in Carrigain now. My husband always says he got an EU grant to bring me across the bridge, but very much 5 minutes outside Waterford City. city.
What's your husband's name?
And a blah to the heart. Good morning, Joe.
Hello, Joe.
Joe
Before
Murphy.
I forget it, you wanted to say a special mention to your dad, is it?
Yeah, I just wanted to give a shout out to my father, Nicholas Harrington, a great Ornagrana man. He's been ill over the last 6-7 weeks, going through treatment, and he's just home from St. Vincent. So just say, keep up the good work, Dad, and get well soon.
And so say all of us. So both of ye are employed by Falcon Real Estate. Would that be correct?
Yeah, we have both our companies have contracts to deliver specific services for Falcon Real Estate. Niall's obviously got the architecture, and we have the project management and quantity surveying.
Okay. Would it be rude to ask how much you've got paid so far? That would be obviously a rude question to ask.
Yeah, it'd be very rude, actually.
That would be a private question. So, but it's Falcon Real Estate that's paying your wages.
Absolutely.
So
And,
you're basically coming up with the designs based on conjunctions with them about how this can, one, get planning permission, and then what can be built.
Yeah, we've been working with Falcon for the last 2 years. It's just not an overnight thing, obviously. I mean, it started with the whole inception. The guys had to put boxes on the North Quays in terms of a concept design. And we've been working from that point in terms of trying to get it financially feasible for 2 years. So it's, this is a marathon project, and lodging the planning application this week is a major milestone.
How many boxes, Niall, how much work has gone into this planning application? He says, rubbing his eyes here, looking like he's just coming out of a...
Yeah, we were just trying to bask in the glory of getting it lodged and out the door. I suppose, as Marion said, it's 2 years of hard work because there's so many stakeholders involved. And I keep saying, both in the public sector, the private sector, everybody has an opinion. We've got the railway line on one side, the river on the other side. We're on a wharf. So there was so many different entities that we had to engage with and incorporate all of their comments. And the scheme that's gone in is a reiteration of 3 or 4 different attempts. And then that underpins it all. It has to be commercially viable. So, Marion would have worked closely with us in terms of the design and to ensure that it can be delivered within the budgets and it provides value for money and it delivers what we want it to be, which is a destination to put Waterford on the map as a place to come, visit, see, enjoy, and spend some time in and live.
And work.
Marion, what is planned? What's envisaged?
Well, basically, in terms of if I take the site from left to right so that I can give people a visual, if you're standing at the clock tower looking across at the North Quays, so if you look to your left-hand side up at Rice Bridge, the first building you're going to see there is a hotel. So there's a 220-bed hotel. So that's the first building you're going to see. Okay. Next building after that then is the actual shopping centre and visitors experience. So that's kind of pretty much across from the clock tower, running a little bit down the quay. After that then there's 14,000 metres squared of offices, which is key. This is the one that's going to give us jobs. This gives us a focus on the North Quays. And the final suite of buildings are the apartment blocks. So there's 300 residential units planned for the very end opposite the Tower Hotel. So in terms of the location. All of that's planned. All of that is out to market at the moment. We have pretty much contracts ready to close on the hotel. We are engaging with retailers for the actual retail units. Obviously, nothing can be signed until the Falcon Real Estate owns the site, and that contract will be executed. But a lot of interest. Okay,
I have a lot of questions, so many questions, and we may not get through everything. We're going to give a fair bit of time now till 10:30 on this. You don't own the site yet, Niall?
Correct. The contract is that can be purchased once the planning permission comes through. There's conditions attached to the acquisition, and one of those is the planning permission.
How much will you pay for the site?
The contract is at 10 million.
Yes.
10 million. So the site, effectively, you're looking for it to be sold to you for 10 million. That's the
contract agreement, yes.
The contract agreement.
And there's all sorts of caveats in there, but that's the general principle of it, yes.
Okay. You mentioned earlier on about coming within budgets.
Yeah.
Has the budget for this changed in the last 2 years?
Yes, I did the budgets. So
talk to me about the budgets. Tell me about how it's changed, because we had the News and Star and Darren Skelton had the story on, and we talked about, I think, 300 million approximately at the start. Tell us about the budgets, please.
Yeah, so essentially, I would say that the budgets haven't changed significantly from the actual private side of the development. Basically, it's been hit by a change of design, and it's also been hit by a little bit of escalation. But it's still fine.
Escalation of what?
Of costs, of base construction costs.
Inflation, builders' costs.
Yes,
yeah.
we've had
Just
inflation
explain that
costs.
to the listeners, exactly.
So basically we've had inflation costs over the last couple of years of between 8 and 15%, depending on what you're buying or what you're building. I have to say that's actually, it's stagnant at the moment, what we're seeing in terms of our tenders coming back. We haven't seen much inflation in the last 6 months, so we'd be hoping it would stay at that position. But certainly there has been a change to the budgets, but it has not been significant. And that's, from our perspective, from the private side, that's fantastic.
Are you factoring in potential increase in costs over the next 2 years as well?
We have to.
Yeah.
It's all part of...
So what figure have you put on this project at present?
At the moment, we're just under 400 million.
400 million.
Correct. For the private investment, yeah.
Not bad, is it?
It's the largest, and if we can put that into context, because it often gets forgotten about beside the pharma and the electronics industry in terms of their big, huge capital projects. This is one of the largest foreign direct investments in Ireland over the last 2 years.
Does the Saudi Arabian owners of Falcon Real Estate, do they have all the money to finance this?
I'm not hesitating, because the question is, do they have all the money to finance this? Nobody in their right mind would pay for this 100% out of their own money. So they will certainly have to put in significant equity. And then they would actually go to markets, go to institutions to borrow the rest. So that figure is not finished yet. It could be 30-70, it could be 60-40, it could be 50-50. Who knows? But certainly there are many institutions that we are engaging with that would give the whole borrowing side to this investment.
Yes, but you must have factored in, or there must be a factoring in of a minimum amount.
There is, yeah.
Oh, yeah, there is,
yes,
yeah. And there's finance costs associated
And
with
how much is that? Like, are we looking at 200 million from the Saudi Arabian group?
Maybe not quite 2, but you're probably looking at 150.
150.
Yeah.
So then you're looking at another potential 250 million has to be raised through financing.
Correct. Yeah, it'd be no different than anybody else buying a house. So 10% of your mortgage is paid by yourself and 90% is provided by the bank. So they will raise the equity themselves. Yeah.
And in terms of the banks normally would put in stipulations regarding raising of equity.
Correct.
So have they intimated any kind of stipulation so far?
Yeah, we've been with the banks.
No, so talk to us.
So, yeah, we've been with, as Marion said, we've been with the bank. So it's quite simple. What they're saying is that, and this is the next stage we're going to get into, Marion alluded to it earlier on, is in terms of the commercialisation of the development, where we actually lock down these contracts. So they're looking for somewhere between 30 to 50% of the development pre-let or pre-sold. Mm-hmm. And we'd be confident enough that we've got a significant amount of that done already, which is very unique because we haven't got planning permission yet.
So effectively, the banks, before they're going to finance this, will look at maybe half of the retail being in place.
Correct.
And contracts signed.
Correct.
Correct, yeah.
And that's why it's important that you have an investor who can put the equity up front, because the banks can't actually do this until we do work, until we go out, until we actually secure the contracts. So that's where the Saudi equity is important. They're 30%, 40%, whatever it is. They fund the project, and that's what they're doing.
If you don't get the retail commitments, this project doesn't go ahead.
No, that's not correct. We wouldn't have gone to this stage if we weren't confident about getting the retail commitments. We've had all of those discussions. As Marion alluded to earlier on, we're very much down the line with the hotel side of things, 50% of the office space, 50% of the residential space, and at least 30% of the retail spaces. I won't say committed to, but it's actually, we're very strong expressions of interest. I said we can't lock down our heads of terms because we have to wait until we get planning permission to know exactly what we're going to build or develop that the planners are happy with. Like, for example, you can't sell the hotel element of it, you can't lease the hotel element of it if the planners decide to take a floor off it. So we have to wait until we conclude that exercise and then we drive on. But we've had all of these discussions with all of the end users, and everything so far is very positive.
I think the message to get across is, this is a mixed-use development. It's offices, it's apartments, it's hotel, and it's retail. And all the feedback we're getting from the major retailers that we're engaging with is that there is an undersupply of retail in Waterford, and that's what they're focusing on. We don't have the brands here in Waterford. We have a small few. If we were Dublin for Cork, maybe we would struggle. But there's definitely positivity and interest around the whole retail.
And there's no doubt about that. And we've had Michael Walsh, City Manager, on talking about that. And 30-40% of retail footfall going out, at least, of the city and county.
At least.
And then you're trying to pull that back in.
Well, it's not just the footfall, it's actually the spend as well. It's the retail leakage.
Well, actually, if you look at the CSO or the Urbistat statistics, they're there and they're available. Waterford has 600 million of leakage in terms of retail, and the South East has 1.2 billion. Now, I don't have many other stats to quote, but that's one that we're focused on as the Falcon Real Estate Group, that we're trying to, it's what we're selling to retailers.
How many shopping centres has Falcon, or has the Saudi owners? Is there only 2 in the world? Is there one in Switzerland, or have they many more?
No, they've got 12.
12 altogether, very
absolutely.
good.
I think they're number 2. They're the second largest retailer in the world. But I suppose what we need to focus on as well is this is not just a shopping centre. The shopping element is just one piece of it.
Yes.
For me, the key component of the North Quays is the transport hub. Because
and the train being moved over the train stations.
The train station get in there, because what we need to do, and we've been saying this to our politicians as well, is we need to get that moved, and then we need to get an early direct train to Waterford, a direct train to Dublin that will take an hour. I mean, and then we become, for all intents and purposes, a commutable location. We will have the office accommodation and this residential. You see the likes of Google and Facebook struggling in Dublin with office space, and particularly getting residential accommodation for their staff. This is what we can offer with the train station, and the fact that the Greenway is going to come through the North Quays, connecting to the train station, the visitor experience. Yep. This is all part of brand Waterford.
Yeah.
It's not just a shopping centre.
No, and that it's key that everybody gets that message and promotes Waterford in that way.
It's a massive positive story, and somebody said, Damien, it's a good news story for Waterford, don't turn it into a negative one. I'm not trying to do that. What I'm trying to do is trying to tease out, and this is a public information forum for you to tell the public exactly and tease out the intricacies of this.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we've got some people.
This is complicated.
Yeah, we have some people texting in. We're going to take those questions now in a second. Now, welcome back to the programme. You are listening to Niall Harrington and Marion Walsh, and we're talking about the development of the North Quays. Damien, take a drink from a glass of half full. Be positive. Port Larriga Boo. Damien, will you please ask the question, why are the North Quays developers looking for a 10-year planning permission? As an act of good faith, can the developers pay for the infrastructure with the proviso of the money will be returned to the Irish government once construction starts? Planning permission.
Planning for a 10-year planning permission, it's very simple. We're looking at a 3-year build programme. So if anything slips on that, the general planning permission timeline is 5 years. So, 5 years is a tight time frame for 1.2 million square feet of development.
Yeah, you couldn't do it. You can't build it in 5 years.
Yeah.
So you need a 10-year planning permission to actually make sure that entire it's 1.2 kilometres of development.
Okay.
So
why have there been delays up to now? Like, this was supposed to be, where we're talking about shovels in the ground in Janury. Now we're looking at maybe the end of next year. Why have there been delays?
There are a number of reasons for delays. Obviously, this is a project that is being completed in partnership with public infrastructure. So we've got to wait for the funding for the public infrastructure. We did have Brexit, and people might laugh, but it did affect us because, people sometimes think that, retailers are not going to move because of Brexit, or retail is dead in the UK. So, and a lot of our retailers are UK based. So, the Saudis had to take a deep breath and just think about the whole commercialisation of the scheme midway through the year. And do
you have any worries in the next 6 months?
Not anymore.
No,
we've had the worry.
No. We've had the worries.
Yeah,
and that's all put to bed, is it?
We've had 6 months of worries, and we've now started to breathe again as of Tuesday morning when we lodged that planning application.
Was there a fear at any stage that the project may not go ahead?
No, it was never in doubt.
And we had worries.
We had.
Oh, sorry, we had worries because we're worried about the commercialisation of it, worried about funding in terms of the government funding. There's lots of worries, but it was never in doubt. We got to start looking at Waterford and saying it's a great place to live and invest, and the opportunity that's here. The Saudis came in and saw it.
Yeah. Tell me about how you've been selling this to business and financiers, and why this is so good. why this is such a positive story. Tell me.
Well, I suppose if you look at the Saudi investors, our Saudi Arabian clients, in terms of what they saw a city which is now the closest city to Dublin. It had a motorway, and it's about to get a second motorway when that New Ross Bridge opens. It's like we can get in to this city very quickly. We have our airport, which will be developed, and we're selling it, that come to Waterford. We will develop our airport. We're moving our transport hub. You're going to be able to get from Dublin to Waterford in an hour if we can keep pushing that. So we've many engaged stakeholders, and we've seen that Cork's pushing itself. We've seen that Limerick is pushing itself, and people are beginning to realise that if we don't push Waterford, we're actually going to be left behind.
Yeah,
we're going to be considered a large town.
Waterford is the capital of the South East. The South East is the largest region outside Dublin. We're the strongest growing region in Europe. So we've a lot to offer. It's just that we don't believe in what we're saying, or we don't believe in our offering.
We don't put it out there often enough.
Yeah,
correct. Those stats are not out there often enough. People are not seeing the South East and Waterford, Kilkenny, Wexford for what it is.
Talk to me about the Michael Street development. Or lack of development at present?
Well, it's lack of development because it's tied back into the contract with the North Quays, and until the Saudis close that contract, they won't own Michael Street. So we've done a lot of work on it, and we're ready to go. That'll be our next project come 1st of January. But until the contract's closed, they can't do anything with Michael Street. But Michael Street is very much on the focus, and it's intended to deliver that. It's contracted to deliver that.
It's the dog bone. It's retail, and then we'll go up Broad Street.
But planning permission hasn't been put in yet for Michael Street.
But Michael Street has planning permission.
Yes.
So I suppose it's to put boots on the ground.
That's what I was going to say, yeah.
And so we've looked at the commercialisation of Michael Street, and we feel that we can make some improvements to it. Because the Michael Street Shopping Centre is designed as a series of smaller shop units, but they already exist on Michael Street. So what we want to try and do is if we can create a larger anchor tenant down there, such as your 30, 40,000 square footer, and then leave the existing shops on Michael Street being the smaller shops of a shopping centre. That's the way we want to drive that project forward.
The initial idea was that this was going to be done in one big, massive, I suppose, push. Is it going to be done in phases? Are we looking at phase development on the North Quays?
Well, you certainly will. From a constructability perspective, there's no way you can go out there and build 5 buildings at the same time. You know, you're going to have to build a podium to start building all those buildings. So yes, it will be phased.
What's going to come first?
In phases. The office, retail and hotel.
Okay. Yeah. In terms of the office, is there any plan to move offices from Waterford Council over there?
It's not definitive yet. Obviously, Waterford Council are interested. They need office space, and they're definitely looking at taking some office space over there. As is
they are
the
looking
IDA.
at it.
Yes, as is the IDA, and as are some of the major blue chips.
And will Waterford Council be overseeing whether planning permission is given on this?
Yeah, that's their function. That's their primary function.
Yeah, even though you've approached them obviously to become a tenant.
And your point being,
fairness, it's open to whoever wants to be a tenant.
Yeah,
we're not in a position to sign a contract.
We're not. No.
I don't understand the question.
The question is, I suppose, is the council one of the potential tenants within the North Quays? It's not a developer on the North Quays.
They're certainly not signed up. They're not a developer on the North Quays. They're providing infrastructure to the North Quays, and if they're short of office space, they're more than welcome to come and look at that office space and sign up for it if they need it.
Yeah, and have you been working with the council up to now, obviously, in terms of getting all the fine-tuning of the planning permission?
Yes, because we've had to work with them for a number of reasons. One is to ensure that we're everybody, and not just the council, the Inroad Éireann and all of the other stakeholders. Yes. It's been a cumulative effort to make sure that we address all of everybody's concerns, and we provide the best quality development that we can provide for the city and the South East. And we've had to engage specifically with the council because they're delivering the infrastructure. So they're going to land a bridge over to North Quays. We've got to make sure it hits at the right point, at the right level. The 2 main vehicular access points to the North Quays, they're delivering as well, as is the Abbey Road infrastructure. We're providing the pumping station for Irish Water, for the services and sewers that the council will want to plug into. So there's been a huge amount of interaction and connection, and that's positive because previously everybody's whinging about infrastructure, build it and then the infrastructure comes. This is an infrastructure-led project. It has to be. Unless the council deliver the infrastructure, we don't have an access. So people
probably don't realise how much work has gone in behind the scenes on this.
As we said, it's 2 years. And in fairness, to Waterford County Council, its sitting council, we've had meetings every week, every fortnight with them, because it is a huge coordination effort. And they have really sort of engaged with us as a key stakeholder. Michael Walsh and his team have been fantastic. Now, they haven't made it easy, but they have engaged, and it's culminated in us lodging the planning application this week.
And they've challenged us, in fairness to them,
so.
to deliver the best we can deliver for the city. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, you know, as Marion said, fair dues to them. They've set out the standards that they want to achieve from the start, and they've stuck to them. So, you know.
Yeah, I can tell you that the first vision that they saw, concept, and the second concept were not accepted. So it's not as though we've landed the drawings in for the first time. The architectural team, the engineering team with Waterford Council have very much helped us and engaged.
Waterford Crystal, any talks about them potentially moving over?
Again, we've spoken to them but absolutely nothing conclusive or anything like that. No.
A lot of people texting in to saying very, very positive, well done, rock on guys. Others saying it will help stop business people and politicians getting the early train up to Dublin and maybe spending more time in Waterford themselves. Some people saying we've been hearing this next year. Some people still having doubts.
Oh yeah.
Are you 100% sure this is going to happen? Well, sorry, firstly, what's the timeline now for planning permission? What happens?
So basically we should know in 12 weeks.
12 weeks?
Yeah.
From when was the planning permission application submitted? Last week?
Tuesday, this week, just gone.
Tuesday this week, just gone.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So 12 weeks from then, we should have a fair idea that we're either getting a grant or there's request for information or whatever. But it's 12 weeks for us. We'll be confident.
Are you anticipating any objections?
You never know. People are entitled to their opinion. We think we've tried to address the SDZ where people had opinions in there, and we've done our best to deliver that. You know, you got to remember it's a 17-acre site in the city centre, so you know we have to make the omelette. We have to break a few eggs, and we wanted to make and part of the design behind and ethos behind the design is you've got the historical city, which is on the South Quays, and the south side, which is a Georgian grid, and then you've got the North Quays, and we wanted the North Quays to reflect today, tomorrow, the future, so that you've got the old and the new. So, and you know, the again, the ethos behind it is it's a city for our kids' futures. We want it to be a vibrant city. That's why there's a lot of mixed use elements in there. We want to add to the city centre, to the vibrancy. That you know, you see it with Winterville. You walk into Waterford City Centre and you're going with Winterville on. You're saying, we want this every day.
Marion, are you 100% sure this is going to go ahead?
Yes, I am. I am sure that there will be development on the North Quays. If there isn't, this city will stagnate. So, and very much anybody that I'm dealing with on this project is extremely positive. So,
how excited are you? Like, how much of a game changer is this?
It's massive.
It's massive. I mean, why are we excited? We're hugely excited. And it's not just because we're excited about this project, but we're excited about the next decade for Waterford in terms of, like, the North Quays only really raises a flag for the city internationally and nationally for people to say, gee, I must have a look at Waterford. They must be doing something right down there. And we're hearing that back. We're hearing it back from investors in Dublin and international investors that are now considering Waterford as a city. We have always been a city, but people haven't looked at us like that. They've always looked at, and we've always heard of Dublin first, then Cork, Limerick, Galway, and Waterford hasn't been mentioned. We are now being mentioned. So that's what the North Quays has given us, is a flag to show people, showcase what we have, to bring on the positivity that we can deliver, to engage with the stakeholders. We're very fortunate that, you know, I believe in timing, and I think our timing is right. It's Waterford's time to shine. We've got a great CEO in Michael Walsh, City Council. You know, you've got Gerald Hurley in Chamber, great CEO, a great team behind him. You've got Deise in the airport. You know, so there's a great team there, and a great collective of Waterford people, or people, you know, invested in Waterford that want to see it delivered, and you can see it all happening. It's
the
coming
diaspora,
together.
actually, you can see that the diaspora is now starting to come back, and what we're seeing is that, you know, if we can just unify all the key stakeholders, we need that. Like, North Quays is just one spoke in the wheel. We absolutely need a full circle, and we just need to drive on with Waterford. And it is starting to get its name in the papers, and we just need to drive it on from a positive perspective.
Waterford rising?
Waterford, absolutely Waterford rising. And we've always been trying to rise, but I think this is our opportunity to rise. Yes, absolutely.
Exciting stuff for Waterford, bring massive employment. Well done, Niall, and all involved. Niall, your man would be so proud of you. That's from Marie. Niall Harrington, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Damien.
Marion Walsh, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much
Happy
for
Christmas.
having us. Happy Christmas.
I'd say you're delighted to get. I didn't imagine
Hooray.
that was hanging around over Christmas, those boxes, and you'd be saying, oh, God, I got it.
Yeah.
So well done on getting the planning permission.
Very good.
We'll talk to you hopefully in March.
Yes,
And,
absolutely. We'd love to come back and let's keep it on. And let's see how progress is going.
We'll bring your half full empty glass with us, Damien.
Yeah.
I think one of your listeners suggested that. So,
I must
and
get
by the
that
way,
person.
Marion is actually a half glass empty person as well, to the extent that it's dry. So the fact that she's 100% happy, that's great. That's great news. Whereas I'm the glass overflowing with water, positive. So
Happy Christmas to you and your
happy
families, and
returns.
Happy New Year.
And happy Christmas to my mum.
a happy Christmas to all our staff, by the way, as well. Well done, guys.
And thanks to Elaine Brazel.
Yeah.
What's your mum's name?
My mum's name is Kathleen Welsh.
Hello, Kathleen. Now, welcome back to the programme. I've just robbed Alan Reynolds from Matt Keane. You can call me Matt if you want, Rennie.
No, you're okay, Damien. You're okay. You're better looking.
Just about. Little mention before we start. We want to plug our special Christmas appeal. There's, I think, 70,000 raised. We're trying to get it up to 80,000. We're nearly there. Donate online, christmasappeal.ie. Drop a cheque made payable to WR Christmas Appeal or cash, and we'll give you the receipt here in the Broadcast Centre or the Plaza in Dungarvan. Text appeal to 5300. Donate €4 and you will get 360 of that will go straight to Vincent de Paul. Lots of prizes to be won. This is massive. This is all for St Vincent de Paul, our massive Christmas appeal. So we're nearly there. Please, please, please support that. Okay. Keep your texts and comments coming in, and we will read out some of those in a while. Firstly, I want to go straight to Alan Reynolds. Alan, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
You're manager of Waterford FC. You've just signed a new contract, have you?
Yeah. That's it's something that's taken a bit of time to iron out with the owner and myself. He had a lot of thinking to do. Had a good bit to do myself. So I know it's took, I suppose, longer than it should have. But look, a lot of that you had to wait on the owner's decision, and I suppose he's putting in a lot of money, so I had to wait on him.
Just explain to people who is the owner.
Lee Power. He would have owned bought the club 3 years ago, I think it is, and obviously he owns Swindon as well. So,
and Jack is his business manager, I suppose you could call it, or
yeah. Jack runs the club here for him in Waterford.
His son, yeah. Was there a fear that it wasn't going to happen? Like, we'll talk about the positive stuff and the negative stuff and all that, but let's get real, as they say.
Yeah.
Was it difficult the last few months?
Yeah, it's been really difficult because, like, I'm a fan as well, like the rest of us, and I'm looking at players leaving, and I know that a lot of those players would have stayed, but the owner wasn't in a position at that stage to commit to what the budget was or what he was going to do. So it was very frustrating, and you're watching him sign them with Bowes and Derry and so on. And every week you're looking at, when if you do take the job, what players you have available to go after. So that's the frustrating and disappointing part of it.
So just to explain to people, players are out of contract at the end of a League of Ireland season, most of them, and they literally then become free agents. They can sign for whoever they want, and you'll have good players like Zach has gone to sign with Lincoln, I think.
That's right.
Would the club get a few bob for him?
They would have got a few bob. I'm not sure of the figures now, but look, some of the clubs, and this is where we need to get to, some of the clubs would have players on 2-3 year contracts. We're not at that stage. We've 42 weeks, so as soon as the last game of the season against UCD, the Friday, they're unemployed, I suppose, from the next day, unless they have work to go into.
What swung it in the last few weeks?
What swung it? It's hard to say exactly. I've enjoyed the last 3 years. Real challenging, without a doubt. I'm from Waterford. It's my hometown club, and have a passion for it, which is important. So it's going to be a really, really difficult challenge, and it's something that I'm ready for. And I've recruited good staff that I had last year, and we're ready for the challenge, and we've got to meet it head on. And I know it's been difficult for people, and without a doubt it's been difficult for the supporters and that, and they're, I'm getting stopped every day, what's happening this, but we need to try as best as possible, Damien, to put it behind us, and if we don't unite and all stick together, it'll be tougher.
There will be positivity there, and the texts are coming in to say best of luck to you and well done and fair play to you, because, were you tempted? Were there other clubs coming to you? Yeah,
there was. I had other options, without a doubt, to go back to other roles and that. So it was something I thought about. But look, saying that, me coming in as manager, some will be happy and some will be going, I wouldn't mind if he moved on, and that's football, and some will be
has an opinion.
Yeah, and they're entitled to it, and good luck to him. Some will be saying, no, we've got to make the top 4. Some will be saying, but we've got to be realistic with everything. It's too early to say what will happen, in regards squad wise, because a lot of the players, as I said, are signed up. But we got to be realistic. But everything we will get this year, Damien, we'll have to fight for.
Is Lee Power putting in less money than he did last year?
That's my understanding of it. Yeah, he is.
How much less?
I don't know the figures of it.
Percentage?
I couldn't say. I know, like, he's, it's one man running the club, so it's very hard to say. And I suppose it all depends as well, Damien, what comes in, isn't it? If people turn up, if businessmen can get behind them, it's a knock-on effect.
It's very important to say that, because we want businesses to get involved. You need people to get out there this morning and say, we will invest. We just heard the North Quays development. Invest in Waterford FC. It's a great boost for the city, the county and the South East.
I have to say, like, the amount of people who have stopped me over the last 6 weeks to ask me this, if all them turned up to the RSC, we'd have 2,000-3,000 every week. Everyone wants to know what's happening in that. So yeah, look, as I said, it's a knock-on effect. It's one club, one city. Facilities are fantastic. The coaching staff that I have, the likes of Pascal Keane around me, to me is a legend, Franny Rocket, Derek, etc. Great people. So there's a lot going for us. But
the pitch is one of the best in the country.
That's right. Unless we get the people out and the backing, it'll be difficult.
Will you be going part-time?
No. As it stands, I'm signing players that we will train the same as last year, which, will be Monday, Tuesday, probably day off Wednesday, in Thursday, Friday, recovery session Saturday. So that's what I'm looking to do at the minute. But where you are with players, I suppose, Damien, is a lot of players, they're not working at the minute. They're just looking for a chance. That's all they want, is a chance. So it might be part-time wages, but I'd be still putting demands on them that I want them to train 5-6 times a week, and they want to be footballers. So I know that some players are going to announce over the next few days, but they're not signing here for money, that's for sure.
Because it's very difficult to be a League of Ireland player. The wages, as you say, part-time wage, it's very difficult.
Yeah, look, it really is. And I suppose the downside we have from here, we're in Waterford in the sense that in Dublin you have so many players and there's accommodation up there, they can live at home. Down here for the last few years we would have had 2 or 3 properties we would have rented. And Lee was, talking about cutting back on that. So the likes of the Bastion here, Stanley Abora, etc. I couldn't go for. Number one, you probably couldn't afford them, but number two, you have no accommodation for them. So, we're looking to try and sort that out. I would find it very hard to ask somebody to come from Dublin on Monday, train double session Monday, get in your car, drive home to Dublin, Tuesday morning, back in the car, drive down. Your performance would be affected, and I don't think it's right to ask a player. They're not getting enough money to be asked to do that.
So the property thing has been pulled back a little bit, has it?
A little bit, and again, look, I'm appealing. If there's anyone can help out in that, it would be great. It'll somewhere to put players to try and get the best out of them. But look, I understand that's difficult too.
Yeah, so if there's any landlords out there that can say, right, we have a property, we'll give 6 months with this property, could be 3 bedrooms, there's 3 players that can be housed in that, which helps your case enormously. Yeah,
it does. When you're going, you're offering accommodation on top of your contract, it's a lot easier to get the players. As I said, there's not a massive amount of players available now, Damien. I was over last week with the PFEI over in the UK watching a game against some English team, but you're looking at them, they're all struggling for contracts. Let's be honest, all the best ones are signed up.
How many players have you got signed at present?
I'm not going to tell you that, Damien. I'm just I'm hoping a few will be announced today, and there's work in progress, so I don't want to put a number on it. But not enough.
Not enough. You don't have enough to put out 11 yet,
no,
but that can change very, very quickly.
Yes.
And as you say, some of the players, you don't have the money to go for the big name players, so you're looking at really hard work this season, getting a team structure in place, getting a formation in place. We spoke last year about the actual tactics on the field. You have the experience to do that, and you also know players very well. You've got a very good underage setup in Waterford as well. So we've got Gary and other players. Would you be looking at bringing possibly some of those under-19s up?
Yeah, and we'd 1 or 2 really good ones last year. like Colin Whelan was one that was there with the 19s, and I knew he was going to UCD early. A lot of the team that won the big one up in Galway are underage again this year. But there's likes of Darren Power and that who's done really well. We'd hope to bring through. But you have to be looking to bring those through. But it's a big step up from...
It's massive.
Yeah, like whatever, if you're in the first division and you're going in, you can blood players. It's very hard when you're trying to get into the top half of the Premier Division.
You're playing against the likes of Shamrock Rovers that have massive amount of money and have sold 1,300 season tickets already.
Yeah, and they're back training 2 weeks. St. Pat's are back training last week. I've, as it stands, one player in Will Fitzgerald. So we're well behind, and that's what I'm saying. Look, there's no point in us being critical. There's no point in us giving out at this stage. We have to make the best of it.
You are where you are.
Yeah, let's push on here, and enough of the negativity. And I know it's been difficult. It's easy for me to say, but enough of it now. Let's rally the troops.
Some people saying, can you give young local players a chance? As you say, if they're good enough, they'll get a chance. But you can't put 6 young new players into a Premier League team. Yeah,
look, I've been there myself as a player going in. It's important you blood them and...
It's a big step up.
Yeah, it is a big step up, and not to put them in too early. But again, like, it's a good comment, I suppose. Sometimes you have to gamble and put them in, which I don't see as having a massive squad this year. So if they do well enough in the 19s or in training with us, they'll get a chance.
What are you looking at, 18, 20 players?
Yeah, that's it. I always went with the route of quality over quantity. So spend the money wisely, whatever money it is. So that's what I'm doing. But look, nobody knew Zach Elvisetti this time last year, in Waterford anyway. And now you look at him, he's just moved to Lincoln. So we're trying to find more of those. I'd say it'll be harder to find, but that's my job.
Good luck, Rennie. The Supporters Club are there for you always. Mary Doyle, Secretary of the Blue Supporters Club, and the supporters, to appeal to them to get out there and be very positive on this, and let's give it a good shot.
Yeah, look, the Supporters Club, and I know there's other supporters clubs as well that have been real supportive, and I get the frustration. Like, I get it and I understand it. And even I talked to Pascal Keane, who I trying to keep on board, and he's a passionate fan, I suppose. But we're all, I can sense frustration within everyone. But as you said, let's move on.
Alan Reynolds, the very best of luck.
Thank you
to
very
you
much.
And your family. I know it's been a difficult year for you as well, and you've come through it, and you're there now, and you've decided, I'm going to commit, and that's very honourable of you. And fair play and well done. Okay, and I mean that. To everybody involved, the very best of luck.
Thanks very much, Damien.
Now, some of your texts and comments coming in. What are Alan's hopes, aims for this season? What can we realistically achieve? As you heard him say, it's going to be a difficult season, but they're going to try their very best. Alan is one of the best managers in the country. We were lucky to have him, says another person. Damien, if Waterford becomes commutable from Dublin within 1 hour, then it is going to be fabulous, and we're going to have a great development here as well. Donald Barry has texted in about the boilers. We'll deal with that after 11. Another special mention for our WLR Christmas Appeal, christmasappeal.ie. Phone or ring in any money you can give. Please do, St Vincent de Paul, and we'll have a big draw then on the 23rd of December for family passes for Babes in the Wood. We'll have family passes for Kaleidoscope, for Westlife, all sorts of things considered. Some news coming in, and we'll have more on that with Liz at 11. Planning permission has been refused for the Tower Hotel development proposed by Neville Groups. It's been refused, planning permission by On Board Planola. We'll have more details on that. One of the details is permission cannot be granted for the demolition of a protected structure, save in exceptional circumstances. It's considered the applicant has failed to demonstrate that exceptional circumstances exist that would justify this. Other people texting in then as well. What percentage of social housing is involved in the new North Quays development? Should that also be part of it? And Tom rang in to say his daughter's on social housing is up to date with her rent and had the council out to look at a problem, the downstairs toilet with water and dampness rolling down the walls. She was told the toilet or bathroom is not part of the house. He says there's lots of problems with the house that have to be fixed, but they have to fix it themselves. So whoever signed off on the house in the first place for the builder is getting paid for this, and he thinks it's a disgrace. The toilet and bathroom is not part of the house. That's a funny one. Text us in, let us know what you think. 083 333 975.